Leon Mercer had closed deals worth billions, but nothing weighed on him like the distance growing between him and his 12-year-old son, Dylan. So tonight, he cleared his schedule, no meetings, no calls, no assistants trailing behind, and took Dylan to a modest family restaurant. Something simple, something normal, something he hoped would become a beginning. They sat near the window. Dylan barely looked up from his phone. Leon sighed, trying not to take it personally. One night at a time, he reminded himself. While waiting for their meals, Leon noticed a man at a booth across the room, maybe mid-30s, wearing a worn-out jacket, sleeves frayed. In front of him sat a little girl with curly hair and stars on her shoes. Their plates were simple kids' meals, just enough for her. The man had only a glass of water. At first Leon didn't pay attention. People had their own lives, their own struggles. But then he caught a moment. The girl pushed her plate toward her dad. "Daddy, you can have some." The man smiled warmly, but fatigue lived behind it. "No, baby. It's all for you. But you're hungry." "I'm okay. I'm just happy we're together." He brushed a tear off his daughter's cheek. Leon felt something shift inside him, an ache of recognition. He had everything, private jets, penthouses, companies spread across continents. Yet here was a man who had almost nothing, except the one thing Leon feared he was losing, connection. He glanced at his son, still lost in a screen, unaware of the world around him. Leon stood up. "Dad." Dylan looked up, confused. "I'll be right back." He approached the server and whispered something. She blinked, then nodded with glistening eyes. Seconds later, she walked to the single dad's table. "Sir," she said softly, "your meal has been covered. Actually, all your meals. For the next year." The man stared at her, stunned. I don't understand. Someone wanted to make sure you and your daughter never worry about dinner again." He turned and saw Leon giving a small, respectful nod. The man's eyes filled. "I don't know how to thank you." Leon walked over. "You already did," he said. "I saw how you talk to your daughter. How you look at her. She'll grow up knowing she was loved. That matters more than anything money can buy." The man swallowed hard. "I'm trying," he whispered. "You're doing more than that," Leon replied. When Leon returned to his table, he saw Dylan staring, not at his phone, but at him. "Dad, why'd you do that?" Leon sat down, took a breath. "Because I wanted you to see what being rich really means." Dylan frowned. "I thought it was about having a lot." "It's about giving," Leon said quietly. "About seeing people. About choosing to make the world a little lighter for someone else." For the first time in a long time, Dylan put his phone away. "Can we do things like that together? More often?" Leon felt his heart swell. "Yeah," he said. "I'd like that very much." The rest of the night was different. They talked. They laughed. They were present. Across the restaurant, a single dad and his daughter ate a full meal, together, without fear of tomorrow. And for Leon Mercer, billionaire entrepreneur, it was the cheapest and richest night of his life. Leon didn't remember the last time he drove anywhere without a destination tied to business, profit, or obligation. But tonight, as he and Dylan left the restaurant, something quietly hopeful settled between them. The air smelled like warm pavement and the sea. This little coastal town had always been a place he loved in theory but rarely in practice. He bought a vacation home here years ago and visited it maybe twice. But his ex-wife brought Dylan often, and the boy always spoke fondly of the boardwalk, the arcade, and the way the sun hit the water at sunset. As they stepped outside, the sky was turning into a watercolor of late oranges and ambers. Dylan walked slightly behind his father, hands shoved in his hoodie pockets. He seemed thoughtful, almost wary, as if the moment inside the restaurant was a fragile bubble he didn't want to pop by speaking too soon. Leon unlocked the car but didn't get in. He leaned against the door and looked at his son. "Want to walk for a bit?" Dylan blinked, surprised. "Just walk." "Yeah," Leon said. "No rush." For a moment the boy hesitated, but then he nodded. They headed toward the boardwalk, the distant hum of laughter and games floating on the breeze. People passed with cones of melting ice cream, couples strolled with fingers intertwined, and a street musician strummed a guitar that had seen better days. Normally, Leon would have been on his phone, emails pouring in, deals waiting, investors expecting answers. But he had turned it off at dinner, and now he felt oddly vulnerable without it. Exposed, but in a way that made him feel more human than he had in years. He glanced at Dylan, who kicked a pebble down the edge of the wooden walkway. "You okay?" Leon asked. "Yeah," Dylan muttered. "Just thinking." "About what?" "That guy and his kid." Dylan stopped walking. "Dad, how come you never did anything like that before?" Leon swallowed, unsure how honest to be. "I've helped people before," he said carefully. "Through foundations, charity events, grants." "That's not what I mean," Dylan said quietly. "I mean, doing something where you actually see them. Like you did tonight." Leon stared out at the waves, breathing in the salt air. "I guess," he admitted, "somewhere along the way I started solving problems from far away because it felt easier. Cleaner. I thought it didn't matter whether I saw the people I helped, as long as the help got to them." "Did it?" Dylan asked. "Sometimes," he said. "But sometimes it just made me feel like a ghost dropping money on a world I wasn't really part of." Dylan sat on a nearby bench, legs dangling. "I like what you did tonight," he said. "It was cool." Leon smiled softly. "Thanks. And that guy looked like he needed it," Dylan added. "But Dad, did you see how he talked to his daughter? Like she was his whole world." Leon nodded. "I saw." He waited, sensing more. Dylan's voice dropped. "I want you to talk to me like that." The words hit Leon harder than he expected. He sat next to Dylan, his heart pounding. "I want that too," he whispered. "More than you know." They stayed there for a long moment, the ocean breaking gently against the shore below them. A family walked past, a mother lifting her daughter onto her shoulders while the father pretended to chase them with exaggerated roars. Dylan watched them, a wistful expression crossing his features. "You know," Leon said softly, "when you were little, you used to ride on my shoulders like that. You'd grab my hair like reins and yell for me to go faster." "Yeah," Dylan murmured. "Mom told me." "I don't really remember." The honesty stung, but Leon didn't flinch. He had chosen work over moments that could never be repeated. And now his son's childhood was already halfway gone. They walked again, passing the arcade where lights flickered in bright reds and yellows. Kids shouted happily over the clatter of tokens and the ringing of bell-shaped jackpots. Dylan slowed in front of the entrance. "Can we go in?" It felt like an unexpected gift. "Of course," Leon said. Inside, the place smelled of popcorn and candy, the air warm with nostalgia. Dylan headed for a basketball shooting game, and Leon followed. They played side by side, Dylan sinking shot after shot with an ease that made Leon grin. "You're good," Leon said. "I practice with Mom," Dylan replied. "She likes basketball too." Leon nodded, not letting the pang of regret show. "Let's see if I can still beat you," he teased. They started a competitive round, and for a moment, the world shrank to nothing but laughter, bouncing basketballs, and the childish ding of arcade points tallying up. Dylan won by 3 points, and Leon pretended to protest before tossing his hands up dramatically. "All right, champion, what's next?" They wandered from game to game, winning tickets, feeding them into the machine that spat out a growing string of red paper stubs. Dylan's excitement grew with each win, and Leon found himself smiling more than he had in ages. Eventually Dylan stopped in front of a claw machine filled with cheap plush toys. "These things never work," he said. "It's like they're rigged." "They definitely are," Leon chuckled. "But that never stopped me when I was your age." Dylan nudged him. "Your turn, then." Leon accepted the challenge. On his first attempt, the claw barely grazed a stuffed dinosaur before dropping it. Dylan snorted. "Nice try." Leon narrowed his eyes playfully and put in another token. This time he lined it up carefully, holding his breath as the claw descended. It grabbed a small blue penguin, wobbling precariously as it lifted it. Come on, Dylan whispered, leaning closer. The penguin slipped once, tilting sideways, but miraculously it stayed in the claw's grip until it dropped into the chute with a soft thud. Dylan's jaw dropped. "No way. You actually got it." Leon retrieved the toy and handed it to him. "That's for beating me at basketball." Dylan squeezed the penguin with a shy grin. "Thanks, Dad." They turned in their tickets for a few small prizes, a pack of sour candy, a rubber bouncy ball, and a keychain shaped like a surfboard. None of it was expensive, but it felt like treasure. As they exited the arcade, the night had grown cooler. The streetlights cast long golden streaks on the boardwalk, and the moon shimmered faintly across the water's surface. "Want ice cream?" Leon asked. "Sure." They walked to a stand that served hand-scooped flavors. Dylan ordered mint chocolate chip, the same flavor he used to insist on as a toddler, while Leon got vanilla with caramel. They found a spot on the railing overlooking the ocean and leaned there quietly while waves rolled in steady, calming rhythms. After a few bites, Dylan spoke again. "Dad, were you really lonely when you were building your company?" Leon considered the question carefully. "I was busy," he said. Focus became a kind of shield. If I didn't slow down, I didn't have to feel the things I was afraid of. Like what? Failing, Leon admitted. Letting people down. Not being enough. Dylan's voice went soft. "You're enough." The words nearly undid him. "I'm trying to be," Leon whispered. "Especially for you." Dylan smiled gently, and for the first time that night, there was no distance in it, no guardedness or hesitation. They stayed there for a long time, finishing their ice cream and watching the tide. People lingered along the boardwalk, couples taking photos, children racing each other. Somewhere behind them a group of teenagers laughed loudly, but the sound blended easily into the background. "Do you think that guy was embarrassed?" Dylan asked suddenly. "The one from the restaurant?" "Maybe," Leon said, "but I hope he felt supported. People deserve dignity when they're struggling. If you didn't have all your money, would you want someone to help you like that?" Leon thought about his own childhood, the eviction notices on the door, his mother working 2 jobs, the hunger he never admitted to his friends. "Yes," he said, "I would have wanted someone to see us. To care." Dylan nodded, kicking gently at the wooden rail. "You know," Leon continued, "helping people shouldn't be about pity. It should be about respect. About understanding we're all human, and sometimes life hits harder than we expect." "I get that," Dylan said. "And I think, Mom would be proud of you for tonight." Leon's throat tightened. His ex-wife had always had a softer heart than he did. She taught Dylan empathy in ways Leon had failed to. "I hope so," he said quietly. "She did a good job with you." Dylan shrugged bashfully. "She tries. Both of us do," Leon added. "In our own ways." They resumed walking, strolling slowly past small shops closing for the night. A cool wind picked up, ruffling Dylan's hair. Leon instinctively put an arm around his son's shoulders, not forcefully, just gently. Dylan didn't pull away. They ended up sitting on a bench near the end of the pier, where the water stretched out in dark, endless waves. Boats bobbed lightly, their ropes creaking against wooden posts. The scent of salt and seaweed filled the air. "Dad," Dylan said softly, "do you think we can do stuff like this more? Not just helping people, but hanging out. Talking. Being together." Leon felt something deep in his chest loosen, a knot he hadn't known he'd been holding. "Yes," he said. "I want that. I've missed too much already." Dylan leaned his head lightly against Leon's shoulder. "I missed you too." The night wrapped around them, gentle and forgiving. In that quiet space, between ocean and sky, between who they had been and who they were becoming, something new was born, not loud or dramatic, but strong and steady. They stayed until the moon rose high over the water, until the boardwalk thinned out, until the world felt still enough to breathe in peacefully. Finally, Leon stood and stretched. "Ready to head home?" "Yeah," Dylan said, rubbing his eyes. "But can we come back tomorrow? Maybe try the arcade again?" Leon chuckled. "You want to beat me at basketball a second time?" Dylan smirked. "Obviously. And maybe you can try for another claw machine miracle." "Deal," Leon said. They walked back to the car, footsteps slow and easy. As they drove away, Leon glanced at Dylan in the rearview mirror, his son holding the blue penguin on his lap, looking tired but content. For the first time in a long while, Leon felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. Not in a boardroom, not in a private jet, not sealing a deal that would add another zero to his net worth. But here, driving home with his son, after a night that changed everything. And somewhere across town, in a small apartment lit by a single lamp, a single dad tucked his daughter into bed with a full stomach and a heart lighter than it had been in months, maybe years. Because sometimes the unbelievable thing wasn't the money given or the gesture made. It was simply choosing to see someone. And letting that choice change you.